I'm here to do a presentation on sensitivity analysis for capital budgeting. So for sensitivity analysis, there are two categories for it. There is qualitative and quantitative. I'm going to describe the steps for each of these categories and explain how it relates to sensitivity analysis. So for qualitative steps, we use these steps to involve the defining scope and the key elements for the analysis without necessarily using the numerical values. This is first done with the defining the objective and scope, which it means to clearly speak the purpose of the sensitivity analysis. This can be done by describing the decisions or outcomes we are trying to understand. It also can mean that we determine the boundaries of the analysis. Second step of qualitative steps is identifying key input variables. We brainstorm all the variables that could potentially influence the output of your model or analysis. We categorize these variables in economic factors, operational parameters, or market conditions as well. Next is assessing the risk. So we see that when we identify the key input variables, we also have to determine the risk or types of uncertainty involved. This is because there can be lots of variability and or maybe some lack of precise data. Lastly, we determine the output of interest. This means that we clearly define the dependent variable or outcomes that we want to analyze the sensitivity of. This could be profit, net present value, market share, etc. Now, for measuring quantitative steps, the first step is defining the range of variation. So we define this range for each key input variable by determining a realistic and relevant range of those values. Some key input variables could be historical data, forecast, or any kind of what if scenarios. Now, when conducting a scenario analysis for the second step, we define a specific combination of input variable values that could represent different plausible scenarios. So when we're inputting the values inside these variables, we also have to do our third step, quantifying the sensitivity. We calculate the magnitude of change in the output variable in response to the change in the input variable. For sensitivity analysis, we can calculate a sensitivity coefficient, which measures the percentage change in the output for the input. Lastly, for identifying critical variables, we analyze the visual data to determine which input variable has the most significant impact on the output. Now, when determining project risk for capital budgeting, we have to look at some key factors in the next slide. These could be so when looking at it through the qualitative and quantitative points, we look at qualitative for identifying the key variables. which are most likely to impact the project's profitability, such as sales volume, costs, discount rates, etc. We also considered a range of possible outcomes for each variable, which could be optimistic, pessimistic, or most likely. Quantitative analysis, we change the value of one variable at a time, and this is done within its defined range. We then look at the impact on the project's financial metrics, like the net present value and rate of return. This all helps you determine which variables have the most significant influence on the project's success. Now, this concludes my presentation, and thank you for listening to it.